Welcome to the interview workshop. My name is Olivia Serpernet. I'm one of the career planners with the McHenry County Workforce Network. The goal of this workshop is to leave the employer wanting to know more about you during the interview. You want the interviewer to feel confident that you'll be the best fit for the position you're applying for, and focus on their needs and how you can be an asset to them. There's no magical formula. Interviewing is really a two-way street, so you want to make sure to do research on the company prior to going in and have questions ready to ask the employer about the company and the position you don't already have answers to. There are 5 different types of interviews, so you want to make sure to be prepared for each and every one of them because they all have their individual challenges. The first type of interview you might have already experienced is a phone screening. A lot of the time employers try to weed out candidates before bringing them in for in-person interviews by phone. So they'll ask you general questions, find out why you applied for the job, ask you to tell them about yourself, and maybe ask you about your salary expectations. The challenges with phone screenings include not being able to see the employer's face, so it's hard to decipher how they're feeling about your responses. But just make sure to be enthusiastic and show them that you're interested in the job by smiling, because they can tell you're interested in the job through the phone. Then you have the panel interview, which could include a few different employers interviewing with you at a table. You might have the director, the associate director, and the team lead, and they might each ask you different questions and expect you to answer. Just make sure to look at everybody in the room, not just the person asking you a question, so that everybody feels included in the process. Then you have your standard interview, where you might just be interviewing with the HR manager, a recruiter, maybe the supervisor you'll be working under. So you always want to make sure to have a couple copies of your resume with you. Make sure to have a list of references in case they ask you for those. And then also have questions prepared to ask at the end of the interview. Then you have a video or Skype interview, which is more modern and can be done from home. An employer, instead of bringing you into the office, might request a video or Skype interview if they are outside the state, or just to again, conduct the same process as a phone screening to weed out candidates before bringing them in person. So you want to make sure to dress professionally like you would an in-person interview. Make sure you don't have any distractions in the background. Don't have any kids running around or dogs barking. Make sure to be professional and have your questions prepared to ask and present a professional face forward. Then the last interview you might go on is a group interview. The challenges that arise with going in for a group interview is that you are interviewing with the other candidates, so you see what the other people look like, you see how they're dressed. If you talk to any of them, you can find out their qualifications and why they're interested in this job. So you just want to make sure to set yourself apart from other people that are interviewing by being enthusiastic, by dressing professionally, having copies of your interview prepared, smiling at the people that are interviewing with you, making sure to be confident and shake their hands and make direct eye contact. It's really important to prep before going in for the actual interview. So you want to make sure to wear professional attire, which I'll talk about for men and women. Preparing the route, so if you get lost, there's construction, there's an accident, you're still able to arrive early. You want to make sure to prepare your documents, so make sure you have copies of your resume with you. If you know how many people you're interviewing with, it's good to have that many copies. If you're not sure, it's always better to have more, too many versus not enough. A list of references, and then you also want to research the company beforehand. Since you're applying for a lot of jobs in your job search, make sure that you know the company that you're going in for. Make sure that you have looked at their website. Make sure you understand what they stand for, how long they've been around, their reputation, if they have been recognized for anything in the last couple years or so. Make sure that you know all of that in case they ask you, why do you want to work here? chances are they will. And then you also want to practice. So you can come in for a one-on-one mock interview session at the workforce. You can interview with a friend. You can watch video tutorials on YouTube. There are a ton of different helpful websites and videos that you can participate in, as well as practicing with other people. You can also practice in front of the mirror to make sure that your eye contact is good, make sure you come across as confident, make sure the examples you give the employer are solid. So I'm going to talk a little bit about professional attire and etiquette. You always want to make sure to dress to impress. Business formal attire may not make you stand out, but it won't leave a bad impression either. So it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. You also want to plan a day or two before the interview what you're going to wear, so you're not trying to decide at the last minute and getting stressed out. You want to make sure to turn off your cell phone or leave it in the car as well. So this is just a little picture showing the difference between business casual versus professional. So for women, you might want to wear a blazer, some slacks, some nice low heels, usually closed-toed shoes. You might also decide to wear a skirt. If you do, you want to make sure it's at least knee length. So nothing too short. Definitely want to still be professional. You could wear a nice blouse. And then if you are dressing more casually, you could wear a suit jacket, maybe a cardigan. You can wear a blouse again. More colors and patterns are acceptable for business casual, whereas professional is more gray, black, neutral colors. And then for business casual, you can also wear things like khakis, nice trousers. Again, make sure that your skirt is longer, but I would say it has to be longer than your fingertip. So if you hold your arms straight down at your side where your middle finger rests against your thigh, your skirt should be longer than that. And then you can wear heels or flats. Just generally make sure that they're not too tall, and that they are work appropriate. Make sure you can maneuver around in them throughout the workday. Then for men, we would say professional would usually be suits or sports jackets, suit pants, maybe nice trousers, dress shoes, all generally within this color range. So black, white, gray, dark red, maybe navy blue. A tie is always nice, or a bow tie. Nice dress shirt. And then for business casual, we would say jacket or vest can be added. You can wear a collared or polo shirt, long sleeve or short sleeve. More patterns and colors are accepted here. The tie is also optional. And then khaki pants or nice trousers, as well as nice dress shoes. So we'll talk about preparing your route. It's important to arrive early. If you're not early, you're late. So make sure to confirm the address and the route before you go. So you can talk to the employer or the HR manager. If there is a certain entrance they want you to come in, they'll generally give you that information, but make sure you know where you're going, where you need to park. And then if you have an early morning interview, make sure you have the route mapped out. Maybe drive the night before or the day before and see how long it's going to take. Know if there's any construction or anything that's going to add to the time. Generally, you want to arrive about 15 minutes before your scheduled interview. So coming in before 15 minutes can have a negative impact because the employer might be wrapping things up on their end. They might be having another interview. They might be on a conference call. You just want to give them some time to get things organized on their end so they can be more relaxed when you come in to meet with them. You can always sit in your car or walk around if you are too early. You also want to make sure to be very polite to the receptionist. If you check into the building and you're sitting, you want to make sure that you seem professional. Don't be on your cell phone. Don't be rude to the receptionist because generally they will talk to whoever's going to be your boss and let them know. Always make sure to research the company. So the employer is going to ask, what do you know about us? Or why do you want to work here? So it's really important to know the company's values, their mission, what they do, and what they're currently doing. So anything they've been recognized for, if they've been able to save a lot of money, if they have a certain philanthropy they support, anything that will impact your workday and your time with them, make sure that you understand. Make sure you understand the industry issues or trends. Make sure to obviously know the position you're interviewing for. Make sure to check to see if you have any connections with the company. You can do this using LinkedIn or Glassdoor, but generally LinkedIn is going to have everybody that works for the company listed. Make sure you know who you're interviewing with, and you can look them up on LinkedIn as well. You can see where they went to school. You can see how long they've worked for the company. Sometimes that will help you establish a connection with them and help build rapport. If you're walking from the lobby to the conference room where you're actually having the interview, it could just be a little bit of a conversation starter. You can say, "Oh, I noticed that you also went to Illinois State University." And then also make sure to prepare copies of your resume and references. These are a few helpful research sites. So to do more research on the company, you want to go to the company's main website. That's going to give you the most information as far as what items they sell or manufacture, their customer base. You can find out how long they've been around, how they got started, information about the owner. And then you can also look on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is going to give you customer reviews or reviews from people that work there. You can look at maybe who you would be interviewing with to learn more about where they come from and what their responsibilities are. You can look on Glassdoor and you can see general salary information and reviews on the company. You can find information in job ads on Indeed, Career Builder, Monster, any of the job search engines. You can browse social media. A lot of companies have Facebook pages, Instagrams, some online platform. And then you can look at Google News as well for any recent updates on the company. The most important thing that you have to do to prepare for an interview is to practice. So a few ways to practice include writing out your answers to common interview questions and the responses that you would give. So you can just look up common interview questions on Google, or you can ask me to provide you with a list of common interview questions. I'll provide that at the end as well. You want to look at yourself in the mirror while practicing, videotape yourself, or do a mock interview with somebody. So you can come into our office when we will have workshops back in the office and meet with one of our volunteers one-on-one. Or if you have a career planner, we're always happy to sit down with you and conduct a mock interview session. And this is just going to help you understand your facial features, if you use a lot of filler words when you talk, and just ultimately help you be more self-aware and professional. And remember, it's okay to bring notes, but make sure you are organized so you don't have to just reference your notes during the whole interview. You want to make sure to continue making eye contact with the interviewer. If you do think of something, maybe you think of a question during the interview, you can write that down and hold that off until the end. But don't just read directly from your notes. So during the interview, there are verbal versus nonverbal cues, and research indicates that most interviewers make their decision about a candidate within the first 5 to 15 minutes. So within the first 5, that's not very much time to make a good first impression. So you definitely want to quickly convey confidence, be aware of your verbal and nonverbal communication. So this is a link for a video that talks about verbal cues. So just being able to speak with confidence, being able to avoid those filler words, which we all struggle with, the ums, the uhs, the well, whatever filler words you use, just make sure to try to speak clearly and concisely without using those. If you have to take a minute to think about your answer, you can do that. and then you want to emphasize your transferable skills. So when you do this, you want to use specific examples to illustrate what you have. You also want to include examples using the STAR method, which I'll talk about as well. It stands for situation, task, action, and result. You want to develop the connection with the employer, so just try to find similarities or common grounds. If you looked at their LinkedIn and you know, again, where they went to school, or if you know they participate in any volunteer activities that you can relate to, maybe they volunteer for Habitat for Humanity and you volunteered for Habitat for Humanity, you can make that connection as well. That can also help them remember you if they're interviewing a lot of people. And then you also want to focus on the nonverbal, which is anything you don't say out loud, which includes maintaining good eye contact, smiling, being enthusiastic, having a positive tone of voice, and then positive body language. So being able to sit up straight, being able to have your hands in your lap, not playing with your hair, not biting your nails, not even though you're nervous, kind of twitching. So just make sure that you are present during the interview and you are exuding as much professionalism as possible. So I mentioned in the last slide behavioral interviewing and the STAR method. So employers ask situational questions that just helps them to understand what you did in your last job, what transferable skills you have, and helps them really understand how your skills would fit in with their environment. So the STAR method, situation is the problem that you solved or encountered. The task would be the specific task or target. So the who, what, when, where, and what was required of you. The action, what did you do and how did you do it? And then the result. So that's where you really want to quantify. You want to talk about savings, accomplishments, being recognized for anything within the company, and ultimately how the situation was resolved. These are a few common behavior-based themes. So being able to work effectively under pressure, thinking creatively, working in a team environment, making a quick decision during the absence of a supervisor, delegating a project effectively, and prioritizing the elements of a complicated project. It's always important to ask questions at the end of the interview. So make sure to have at least 2 questions prepared to ask the interviewer when they say, "Do you have any questions for us?" This just shows that you've done research on the company and that you're definitely interested in working there. If you go in and you're a great interviewer and they like you and you don't have any questions for them, that could be a red flag, because you are also interviewing them. You want to make sure that this company is a good fit for your background and is going to make you feel like you're contributing to the team that you want. Always get the contact information from the interviewer as well. So if you interview with multiple people, make sure you get each of their business cards. Make sure to shake their hands. Make sure to ask when to expect a reply from them or how quickly they're looking to make a hiring decision. And you want to make sure to send a thank you letter or email within 24 hours of having the interview. So within 24 hours after having the interview, you want to send that thank you letter or email. I think people have different opinions on this. I would definitely recommend handwriting a thank you letter and mailing it. I've had a lot of customers just send follow-up thank you emails. I think it's a little bit more personal if you do handwrite a thank you letter and then address it to each individual person who interviewed you. It just shows you actually want the job and you took that time to personalize those letters. If you don't hear back about the position, it's definitely okay to follow up. I would say, based on what the employer tells you, if they're looking to make a decision within the next 2 weeks and you don't hear from them a week after you interview, it's okay to follow up and just let them know you're still interested in the job, let them know exactly what you applied for, remind them of any conversation you had. And then if they say they'll be in contact with you by next week, don't call them tomorrow just to get an update. It's definitely good to be eager, but you want to give them time to go through their own hiring processes.